Hello, everybody. This is Juniper Talverk, and today we are going to be looking at another custom master grade. Now, for most people, this probably is a pretty strange looking design. But if you are a member of the Advance of Zeta Drum Frame Society Discord, you might recognize this, as I showed this off while I was working on it. I've since done some slight modifications to the backpack since the last time I've shown this on my Facebook or on that server. Basically, just did some slight modifications to make the transformation look nicer. But this is my idea of like a Verka version of the Gaia Gear Alpha from Gaia Gear. For those unaware of what Gaia Gear is, it is it's a like novel / there was like a radio play version as well of a series that originally was going to kind of be like Tomino like making something not related to Gundam, but then deciding to make it related to Gundam later on. It's technically far-flung UC, but it probably will never be officially referenced anymore. But it's because it is a post G Savior UC thing, and anything post G Savior outside of Turn A, which is technically UC, but Turn A is actually at the end of every timeline, and it's weird. Project, so, and also with like licensing things, it's probably never going to get any like model kits or anything, or like an anime. But this is the Gaia Gear Alpha, a descendant of the Zeta Gundam. Somewhat, kind of, not really, it's weird. But this is technically not a mobile suit, it is a man-machine. And then after Gaia Gear, they go back to using mobile suits. For size comparison, here it is next to a late UC suit, the F90 with the Gundam F90 with the winter equipment. I just figured a late UC suit is a better comparison for this than like a regular UC suit. I know the size is probably a little off with this custom, but it looks nice to me. I like how it turned out, so that's fine by me. And I wanted it to look big next to late UC suits, like the suits from Victory and F90. I didn't want it to be big next to a regular UC suit. Or not regular, early UC suit. Now, to make this custom, I used a Age 2, and I widened the hips. I have the shoulders wrong. Let me fix that. Forgot to uncompress them. There we go. Now they're correct. Whoops. Unfortunately, because I did use an H2, the legs like to come undone. But there we go. Now the shoulders are at the right width. Looks a little nicer. So I used an H2, some pla plate, some milliput, and then this random little fighter craft from some random sci-fi series. I have no idea what it is, that I just happened to find at the hobby shop that I bought all the kits to make it from. This was my first attempt at heavy scratch building with pla plate. I'd never really used it before for any sort of custom, and so this was my first time using pla plate. It was also my first time using milliput. I think it turned out pretty good. Let's do a bit of a spin around so you can see. Due to the modifications I made to the backpack since the last time I had ever shown this off, the wings are a little farther back than I would like now, but I prefer it this way because it allows them to be farther forwards on the body when it is transformed. And here's it from the way back. The legs keep coming untransformed. But that's a problem with the regular H2. That's not because of anything I did to this kit. So yeah, I never ended up making any weapons for it. So right now all it has is the H2's beam sabers. But at some point I'm going to make... at some point I plan on making a rifle for it. I also plan on making alternate wings with the missiles or needle funnels. I forget if the things in the image are supposed to be needle funnels or just regular missiles. But since I made it with an H2, I have spare wings that I can use. So I plan on making wings with the missiles attached. I'm not going to do... Actually, yeah, I am going to do the transformation on screen because I don't have access to editing software anymore. So this is going to be a little frustrating to do, but bear with me and we will do that. So the first step is going to be unfurling the cockpit here. You want to make sure it's lined up with the PLA plate. Then what you're going to do is you're going to, I think it's you raise, it's a little stuck. There we go. Raise the torso, and the head slots in to the torso like that. Oh, it's off camera. Head slots into the torso like that. Then you're going to want to unfurl the legs, get them ready for transformation. So come on. Gets a little stuck sometimes. Oh, come on. Get out of there. There we go. Unfurl the legs. You're going to want to bend this as far forward as it goes. Then with these wings back here, you're going to move them, whoop, they're a little loose. Move them out and around. Whoops. Came apart. Like I said, it's not the most sturdy thing. 1 second. I think I can pause the recording actually. Yeah, I'm just going to pause it and transform it off. Okay, so this might be a little awkward to display because unfortunately I don't have an action base that displays it well, and also since it was my first time doing anything like this, I didn't really make very many like locking points. Also because it was my first time making this, I bought a set of pin drills to like use brass rods to do stuff with it. Originally it was going to be a lot more complicated than it is now. Unfortunately, the pin drill I bought just would not hold onto a drill head longer than 2 twists. So I ended up not customizing it nearly as much as I was initially planning. But here we have it transformed. I'm not super happy with the transformation, but that's mainly because it was my first time doing a custom like this at all. I probably shouldn't have even picked a transformable mobile suit as my first custom, but I just got really invested in Gaia gear when I was thinking of finally dipping my toes into this heavy of a custom, and so I made the Gaia Gear Alpha, even though I probably wasn't ready for it skill set wise. This is probably a design where in like a couple years time I might try and make it again as like a test of this is how far I've come. But this is the one wing folded back in. But this is its flight form. It doesn't transform as much as I would have liked. In the future, I would probably use a Victory Gundam's Core Fighter for the cockpit instead of just some random plane kit. It's just at the time I liked the plane kit thing, and in my head I could visualize how I was going to make it work without really thinking of how to actually do it physically. But in my head I was like, oh, this will be perfect, and I'll make it an extra little hinge, and then my pin drills didn't work out, so I wasn't able to do the extra hinge and everything. But this is the fightercraft mode, and I don't know if it'll come up on camera, but yeah, it's really not wanting to show up on camera. But I did. It was actually a pain in the ass to do this, and I'm really upset that it doesn't show up very well on camera. But the fightercraft was in a different scale, like it was in a larger scale than. Actually, no, it was in a smaller scale than 1/100, I think, or maybe it was a larger scale. Either way, the pilot wasn't the right scale, and so I like did a bunch of work in the cockpit to fit a 1/100 scale pilot in there from an actual Gundam kit. And you can't even fucking see it in person or on camera very well. But there is a 1/100 scale pilot in there. I did make sure the pilot was the right scale. It's just it doesn't show up well on camera. But this kit, parts-wise, it uses H2 pla plate, and then it uses like a bunch of miscellaneous parts from Zaku 2 high mobility types. Like the feet are all Zaku 2 parts, just with some pla plate attached underneath it for stability. These little thruster things here are from Zaku 2's. This little gray bracket here is from a Zaku 2. This white bracket up here is from a Zaku 2. So is this one. So I think it's kind of fitting that a Gaia gear I made uses Zaku parts because it's piloted by Avaranchi Shars, who's a clone of Shar, so I think it's fun that it uses Zaku parts. This is what it looks like from the top view. Unfortunately, because of the way everything is done, because it was my first attempt, it's really hard to get things lined up the same way. So every time I transform it, it's transformed slightly differently. But that's a learning experience thing. Eventually I'll get better at this, but for now, that's my Gaia gear. I would compare it to like a Zeta Wave Rider, but all of my Zetas are in mobile suit mode, and I really don't want to transform them. So we'll just bring in the F90 again. So in this mode, it's even if you stood it tip of nose cone to farthest back piece of it, it's still taller than the F90. For a future thing, I would like to see if I could get more of a frontwards bend out of this joint. This joint is meant to bend backwards, as if you've owned an H2, you know the transformation. This pushes up and then bends backwards. Unfortunately, I didn't realize until after I had fully assembled it that there wasn't really a way to get that joint to bend the opposite direction, even if you remove all of the front structure. So if I was to do this again, I'd probably attach the hips and head and arms on backwards to the Age torso if I were to use an Age again as my base kit. I'd probably attach all those things backwards so that this could push all the way I want, unlike right now where it doesn't even get close, because this is supposed to touch the cockpit when it's fully transformed, or at least be a lot closer to it. And unfortunately, I just wasn't able to get that with this. Whoa, this camera sucks. Well, not this camera. This tripod sucks. I've had it for too long, and the screw's gotten super loose. But that's it for my custom Gaia Gear Alpha. I'd say it's not too bad for a first attempt at using milliput and plow plate. The next like major custom I've been working on, it's pretty much all done. I just need to refine some holes with milliput, but I'm working on a wave shooter Zeta using the Zeta Verka, because the Zeta Verka is my least favorite Zeta, and so I decided to is my least favorite master grade Zeta, so I decided to turn it into a custom so that I could like it, because I bought the kit out of the hype of like, oh, it's the best Zeta transformation, it's so much better than the 2.0, and then I built it and I'm like, wow, this thing is dog shit compared to the 2.0. So I'm trying to redeem it by turning it into a different mobile suit. But that's all for today. Have a wonderful day.